From the land of lakes, this is 10,000 Takes. Brought to you by Minnesota Score Radio. Wally and Eric back for yet another week as we slice and dice the always busy, always topical, super saturated Minnesota sports scene. Wally, we're now getting towards late June. And the Minnesota Twins, as we creep closer to that halfway point of the Major League Baseball season, playing some solid ball. One thing they're able to do so far this year is feast on those cupcakes, those bad teams, and that's what you have to do. Teams you should beat, you better win the series, if not sweep the series, and they've done that on multiple occasions. And I think we have to single out, at least right now, Carlos Correa, who is playing at an elite level.
No, for sure. And, defensively, I think we've all known what he can do. He's got that big arm. Doesn't quite have the range that he had, a few years ago, but still big arm. But it's the offensive side that has really clicked here over the last week and a half, 2 weeks. I mean, he was hitting like 230-something, and all of a sudden he's hitting over 300 when he goes on a tear. He had a couple of home runs on Father's Day. I mean, he had a 5-hit game for the first time in his career a couple days before that.
Then he had like 3 the next night.
Right. He had 3 on the right. I mean, he just went from one thing to the next, and it just changes the Twins' offense, because when you have him and Royce Lewis batting primarily back-to-back, it depends on which one of those confusing lineups that the Rocco throws out there.
Yeah, he just uses to choose his lineup.
I think he does. I think he tears up little pieces of paper like this,
pull it out,
throws it in a hat.
He's going to bat third.
Exactly. He gets a different leadoff hitter every night, which I just still don't understand. But the point is most nights he's got those two batting back to back when they're both playing. And with Royce Lewis healthy, and with Correa playing at an elite level, both offensively and defensively, they're a different team. I mean, they're playing the A's, and they beat up on the A's. And they're playing the White Sox, and they beat up on the White Sox. But as you said, you got to beat those teams. They'll still have to figure out how to beat the Yankees eventually, and Cleveland very soon, because that's the only way they're going to win this division.
Yeah, and a couple more things on Carlos Correa. Look, the defense has always been there. He's a platinum glove guy. He gets to balls that other shortstops don't get to. He made that fantastic play in the playoffs, if you remember, getting a guy out at the plate. I think it was against Houston. But the other thing is he's a leader in the room. He's a clubhouse guy. He uplifts his teammates. Yeah. So he's earning his money in a lot of different ways. And let's not forget, last season he dealt with plantar fasciitis. That is a difficult injury. And he played through it. It's like running on a golf ball. And, he still put up okay numbers. But now he's 100% healthy. And you're seeing it at the plate and in the field. And now, if they can get Byron Buxton going, he's off to a bit of a slow start. But the projections are, even though they sit him down a little more than I'd like, for Byron to play 119 games, which for Byron, that's Cal Ripken-like, right? So if they get that many games out of Byron and he heats up, because he can go on a tear, then you have a threesome that is about as good as you'd find in Major League Baseball. Obviously the LA Dodgers have Shohei, Freddie Freeman. Mookie Betts is injured, unfortunately. Right. The New York Yankees have Juan Soto, Aaron Judge, and Giancarlo Stanton. But that threesome of the Twins, if they're out there playing every night, that's a pretty good one.
Yeah, no, it is. And those two, Royce Lewis and Carlos Correa, could help Byron Buxton too. If Buxton is batting 5th and those two are batting 3, 4 in whatever order, that changes things. Or Buxton batting 2nd. I wouldn't mind seeing him move up and kind of change things a little bit. Try to get on base more, because he's so fast. Yeah. He's so dangerous when he's on the bases. I'm not worried about Byron Buxton hitting home runs. Matter of fact, I'd like to see him try to hit less home runs and get on base more. His speed can kill.
Yeah, put the ball in the gap.
Absolutely.
And run. And, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. If Buxton is in there and he's got Royce Lewis and Carlos Correa either hitting ahead of him or, as you said, somewhere in the middle. So I think Byron will heat up. I mean, the weather obviously has turned here in Minnesota, and as the thermometer has shot up, so has Carlos Correa. And then Royce Lewis. I don't know really what else you can say about this guy. He's got the it factor.
He does.
I mean, and when he hits the ball, it's explosive. I mean, he's going second deck, upper deck at Target Field with his home runs, and he brings energy to the ballpark. He's so likable already. If they can keep this guy on the field, they're going to sell a ton of those new City Connect jerseys with Royce Lewis's name on the back.
Those jerseys that I don't really care for.
Yeah,
They look like
they're here and they're not going anywhere.
They look like softball uniforms. Well, I'll say this. All this is great, and at the time of this taping, they were all healthy. Knock on wood that it stays that way.
Well, and that's the key.
It really is.
The other thing is, hey, Twins management, you're going to be at the minimum in the wild card chase. Make a move in late July.
Get busy there.
Get better.
Coffee and Levine.
Excite your room and your fan base.
There you go.
The room being the clubhouse. All right, stick around. We'll talk some boxing coming up. Wally's going to throw some haymakers.
As usual.
10K takes your Carlos Correa ticket.
Hot rod, collector cars, street rods, muscle cars, vintage Corvettes, oh my goodness. Whatever you ride, Lakeville loves them too. There are many great car events in the area that you will love Lakeville as much as you love your cars. Join us for Cruise Night in July, featuring a classic car and truck parade throughout our city and historic downtown. Plan your trip at visitlakeville.org.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect. Maya? Oh, I love your earrings. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision, it's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
Welcome back. 10,000 takes. Wally and Eric. And we're going to talk a little pugilism right now. Some boxing with Slink Proper and his trainer, Quincy Caldwell. Now, Slink, 36 years old. He's got 10 pro bouts under his belt right now. Slink on the left there. One of those wins came over Ali Walsh, who happens to be the grandson of the great Muhammad Ali. And this is going to be a rematch for him on June 29th down in Miami Beach. At the age of 36, with only 10 fights under your belt, when did you start fighting and why at this age?
Man, I have been fighting for a long time. I was always in the gym, always training with pros, getting them ready for their fights. All of a sudden, one day, I'm sparring a guy named Ishmael Mwendo. He was a pro at the time. He was his 22nd fight. He was like 20-0 at that time. And after the sparring session, his management came up to me, which is Scott Tolzman, and he said, "Hey, man, you're pretty good. You're good. What would you think about taking a fight?" And I'm like, no, because I know how much it takes, the dedication of boxing. Like, I'm doing other things, so I wouldn't be able to do it. He showed me that check. I was like, we'll try it out. That's exactly how I went. And then after that, the rest is history. My first fight was at the Myth Night Center or Myth Event Center in Maplewood, and then Q was there and saw me there. I started working out at the same gym Q was at. This is like 5 years ago. And then as soon as that happened, he saw me fight. He saw that I was just training by myself. And, I saw him training every day, and we both had the same work ethic. I already knew that because I already see him in the gym whenever I come in the gym. So I hit him up. I'm like, "Hey, man, why don't you, train me? Train me. I got some fights coming up. I have nobody training me. I'm just going in the gym. And after that, we started winning fights. And, Q took it on him. Q made the promotional company so he can get fights. You know what I mean? Because our fights weren't coming fast enough.
Quincy, you train a lot of different athletes, boxers, basketball, football. Paint the picture. What are your training sessions like? Old school, new school, combination? What is it?
I have a little couple new school toys, but it's all old school, man. I don't, I come from a background, or when I was playing basketball, I did a lot of training in LA. So my trainer was a Navy SEAL Master Chief.
Oh boy.
So yeah, so you can imagine what I've been through. So, but those results I always remember. You know what I mean? It made me the best version of myself. So, the training methods, it's hard nosed, it's discipline, it's a desire. You gotta want it. Um, you gotta really want it, man, and you gotta fill your heart with joy of what you're doing because I'm not easy to deal with. You know, I'm very hard. I'm very critical. I'm tough on these guys. I get on Slink's nerves. I've gotten on Chet's nerves. I've gotten on Chandler's nerves. But it's not because I'm doing it to, be a rah-rah guy. I just want those guys to be the best versions of themselves. And I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get them there. So
Let me ask you this, Q, and
mhm,
follow up on that with regard to training Slink.
mhm,
What makes
mhm.
him the boxer he is today that you've seen in the training sessions?
His heart, man. He has people say the heart of a lion. And they really don't know what that means. You know what I mean? He has the heart of a lion. That's different. Slink's a little wild. Slink will fight me if he had to. Now I'm 6'8", 285 pounds. Now Slink's 5'7", 160 pounds, but he will get in the ring with me. Like we've had moments where we've, went against each other and, stuff like that. I've been quick, I have some quick hands and that when you look at lions, when they're hungry, they'll eat it. They'll eat any animal, mammal. They don't care. Elephants, giraffes, they don't care. Like they're hungry. So when I say heart of a lion, he truly has a heart of a lion. He doesn't care about who you are or where you come from. His mentality is I'm hungry and I want to eat. And I love it, man. And because of that, that's what makes him great. In the game of boxing down, you have a lot of prima donnas, and it's just the truth, not disrespecting nobody. You have a lot of guys that just want the fame and the money and the fortune. They don't really want the what boxing represents sometimes. And Sling and he wants what boxing represents. He's an old school guy. He would have been a good fighter. He's good in this era, but he would have been a good fighter in that era too, back in the 80s and the 90s. He has truly a heart of a lion.
Slink, do you embrace the grind? In other words, the journey to get there, the work and the
Anything
sweat
to help with the
equity.
line?
Yeah, do you embrace it?
I love it, man. I love it. Every day we get in here, we work, and no joke. When I say the hardest workouts, and we invite people to come to our strength and conditioning on Mondays, at least one of the session, because we're training 2 times a day. But when I invite them, they never make it. They never make it. You know what I mean? It's very rare that somebody makes it through a whole strength and conditioning session with Q, let alone the take. You make it. Well, I'll be surprised. Work hard. The work ethic makes the confidence happen. As far as what they say, my age, I'm still getting better. I can't help. I just keep getting better. So as I keep getting better, it's not an excuse for me to stop. You get what I'm saying? I keep elevating. Um, and I'm the best I've ever been. Right now, I'm in the best shape I've ever been in my life. I'm the fastest I've ever been, the strongest I've ever been, the most cardiovascularly, stamina wise. Everything is kicking good, and I can't wait to display it on the 29th.
Coach Q, let me ask you about how you train Slink with a basketball background. How did you learn,
Mhm,
technique and that type of thing, and how to train a boxer?
mhm,
Obviously, there's some carryover in
mhm,
cardiovascular and several in strength conditioning, but what about the
mhm.
technique that's involved in the game of boxing?
I'm a student of the game, man. Basketball, I'm one of the best trainers in the country when it comes to basketball players, not because I teach people how to dribble. I'm a person that I really study. I understand movement. I understand, footwork. I understand your mental capacities, all those things. I'm a true studier of craft. So when I got into boxing, the first thing I did was put myself into training, right? So I boxed myself. My
Okay.
coach, I had my coach, Coach Dalton. We had rigorous hours and hours of training, and Slink will vouch for it. He showed you guys I was in the gym just as much as he was, you know what I mean? And working and training. So for me, having the ability to do it myself helped me tremendously to teach how to box, but I also understand body movement very well. I understand footwork very well, and I understand the mind state very well. So though because of those things, it made it very easy for me to transition into boxing.
Slink, when you were in the gym with Jalen Suggs or Chet Holmgren, is there a common denominator between somebody who eventually goes to the NBA and somebody who's in the ring boxing?
You know what? The fundamentals are different, but the work ethic is the same. So that work ethic, if you don't have it, then you're probably not going to get on this level that you want to be at because um, no matter what, you have to push past those boundaries and limits in order to be great at something. So in order to push past those boundaries and limits, you need somebody to push you, take you there. Sometimes, most of the time, you need somebody to push you past those boundaries and limits that you set for yourself. Subconsciously, you're like, I feel like stopping. No, keep going. And then you do it. And then it's like, oh, I actually did it. And it's like, go again. Did it even, then boom, you did it even more, put restraints on themselves and say, hey, there was a guy that ran the 4-minute mile. Nobody will ever run a 4-minute mile faster than 4 minutes. It's impossible, humanly impossible. As soon as somebody does it one time, everybody does it. It's like the subconscious barrier releases, right? And that's what Q was for me. That subconscious barrier, it released. There's been so many times, like he said, I get mad at him in the gym, you know what I mean? But when I see it's because he's pushing us hard and trying to push those limits. But those limits aren't hard to cross. But once you do cross them, it's amazing. And when I seen Chet and Jalen crossing those same limits and boundaries, I was like, oh, okay, I'm in the right spot.
All right, last question for you, and this will be for Slink. What can we expect on the 29th in that rematch against Ali Walsh?
Fireworks, baby. Fireworks. It's going to be fun. I can't wait. We're going to bring the cold to Miami. We're going to bring the cold to the Miami Heat, and they're going to remember us.
All right, very good. He is Slink Proper along with Quincy Caldwell. We appreciate you guys spending some time with us today.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having us.
Slink will be in the ring on June 29th on ESPN out of Miami Beach. Eric and I will be back with more here on 10,000 Takes after this timeout. Stay with us.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Maya? Oh, I love your earring. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision, it's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
Absolutely.
This is green light situation.
Lee Hodges.
TPC Twin Cities, you never know what you're gonna get.
I'm strolling in historic downtown Lakeville, which is the heart of Panaprog activities. Panaprog is short for Panorama of Progress, and this festival has been going on since 1967. Over 65 events spanning over a week. You'll need to stay more than a night to get your fill of fun. Panaprog offers a wide variety of events and activities for all ages. Panaprog is a celebration of all things local. Plan your trip at visitlakeville.org.
Welcome back, 10,000 Takes. Your Minnesota Lynx. Talk about the Twins being hot. Your Lynx are playing some pretty good basketball right now.
They're off to a historic start in terms of getting out of the blocks. 11-3 was the record midweek. Nafisa Collier is playing like an MVP. We know she's going to her second Olympic Games. This will be in Paris a few weeks down the road. Cheryl Reeve is the head coach, Team USA. And then how about Kayla McBride? I mean, that's a great tandem, Collier and McBride. Diamond Miller, the rookie from a year ago who showed flashes, has only played in a handful of games. So if they get her back, look, the Lynx are the top team in the West, and they're third best overall in the WNBA. Maybe a fifth banner could be coming to Target Center.
Well, the big question is, will they draw more than 6,000 or 7,000 on any night, with the exception of when Caitlin Clark comes to town?
I think they will. I think when Angel Reese in Chicago show up, there's a lot of Chicago transplants, as you know, in the Twin Cities. I think that'll bring people in. But when they get to the postseason, if they make a run, they'll have good crowds.
Okay. Speaking of Target Center, will we ever see an NBA final at Target Center unless they go to like a neutral site type of thing? And I mean, will the Timberwolves, do they have what it takes? Because it sure looks like, based on what we've seen with the Boston Celtics in the finals, man, they're loaded for bear going down the line here. I mean, they've got the Jalen and Jason combination. They're going to be around a while.
Yeah, the double J's, and they have a young coach in Joel Mazzulla. So I think they will come back hungry.
And let's not forget Drew Holiday.
No, and it's a top-to-bottom team. I mean, it's a consummate team effort, and they seem to check their egos at the door. And then you look at some other teams in the East. I still think Milwaukee, when they get, obviously Giannis is a stud. Damian Lillard dealt with a lot of problems personally last season. He's in the best shape he's ever been now, and he's going to be ready to go. Bucks will get better. Indiana was good.
Okay, so we circle back to the Wolves, though. Are the Wolves at that level?
Oh, they're not at the Celtics level, but they're knocking on the door. I mean, they had their chance to go to the NBA Finals. They couldn't capitalize. Would they have been a better matchup for Boston than Dallas? Maybe, but you can't make that argument when Dallas knocks you out in 5 games.
Right.
The Mavericks were clearly better than the Timberwolves. So what kind of an offseason will it be for Minnesota, and how will they come back in an ultra-competitive Western Conference with Dallas, with Denver, with OKC, with Phoenix, and a lot of other good teams who have their same eye on the prize that Minnesota does?
I contend that the Dallas Mavericks exposed the Timberwolves defense at the guard position. You know Luka's going to get his, right? 30 plus every game, basically. He had 40 plus in one of those games against the Wolves. But when they let Kyrie go off, and you saw Kyrie basically disappeared against Boston, against the Jalen and Jason combination. Okay, so he couldn't score against them like he did. Well, the Timberwolves had all kinds of problems with Kyrie. I mean, that was the difference. So are they exposed? Is a two-guard tandem going to tear them apart?
Well, we saw it happen, as you said, and it could happen again unless they're able to make adjustments. All I know is if you believe it's a process to getting to an NBA title, look, this current Celtics team went through some heartache.
They did.
And we know Denver did. I still believe Minnesota missed an opportunity this year to not pounce on going to the finals and maybe winning it. But that said, I think the key for Minnesota is, assuming they watched Boston win it the other night and take that confetti shower, does that make a guy like Ant or Cat or Rudy G or any of the other players or Chris Finch, does that make you hunger for that, work that much harder to get to where the Celtics are? Because the Celtics did it with hard work, talent, and a focus.
Well, I guess the big question going forward, will they bring everybody back? Will Cat be back? Will Rudy be back? I guess we're going to find out. All right, more to come. Yes, indeed. Takes of the day on deck. Stay with us. Back with more after this time out.
Absolutely.
This is green light situation.
Lee Hodges.
TPC Twin Cities, you never know what you're going to get.
I've been meaning to give you these for many years. I think they're perfect.
Oh, I love your You're airing. Why didn't you try these?
It isn't just about vision, it's about care. Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
10K takes on television as we wrap up yet another episode. But before we go, we're going to find out if you're a grumpy guardian, a sarcastic Sam, a happy camper. It's takes of the day.
Let me ask you this before I get into my take. Are you a huge fan of transfer portal in college sports?
Sort of.
Okay.
I never thought it was fair that a coach could leave without sitting out a year, but the athlete could not pre-portal. I thought that was hypocrisy, but I think it's also off the rails.
Yeah. So how do you feel about it in high school sports or middle school sports or maybe, I don't know, Little League?
Why not?
Why not?
It's all about your brand these days.
Yes. Well, okay, so here we go. High school basketball fans across the state of Minnesota, buckle up because Cretin-Durham Hall has gone out and recruited the top player in the state of North Dakota. His name is Tommy Oneman. He was the Gatorade Player of the Year in the state of North Dakota, 6 feet, 10 inches tall, averaged over 20 points, 13 rebounds, 2 blocks, 2 assists per game. Led his team to the Class AA title, where in the state tournament, he averaged over 28 points per game and was the MVP of the Class AA state tournament. So how does he fit in at Cretin? Just fine. He'll get that opportunity to play, presumably in the Class 4A tournament against the best that Minnesota has to offer. And I'm sure that the impetus for this was that dad or mom got a job in the Twin Cities, and so he had to make the move from North Dakota. He left his school, Cheyenne, the name of his school, the Cheyenne Mustangs. Climbed on that Mustang horse and rode it down to St. Paul to get more exposure to play high school sports. I don't know, man. I am not on board with this, as you might suspect. But here it goes. And, so maybe he's got an apartment over in St. Paul, theoretically, and mom and dad could fly in on Fridays and watch him play high school basketball.
Well, maybe mom or dad got an offer from 3M, which is based in St.
Well, that could very well be. And that could all be tied into NIL, which is coming to high school.
Might provide the team with Post-it notes.
You just never know.
Scotch tape.
Yeah.
Well, okay, let's see where you land on the mood meter. Yeah, right there in the middle. That's what I suspected. Sarcastic.
Yeah. Well, I still think his mom or dad got a job in the Metro. And if they didn't, they will.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It might be with Cretin-Durham Hall.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my take of the day, I'm going to talk about last week. There was a false report that came out, and I sure wish it was true, that the Minnesota Wild were going to rebrand in the 2025/26 season. They were going to go to the Minnesota North Stars colors. Kelly green, Fort Knox gold,
Absolutely.
wedding gown white, that splashy look the North Stars had when they came into the NHL in 1967. Well, the Wild quickly poo-pooed it. They denied it. They said it's fake news.
Oh, boy.
Well, and I'm not a fan of erroneous reporting, but I sure wish this one was accurate. Because let's be blunt here. The elephant in the room with the Minnesota Wild is their current look, Iron Range, rust, and forest green, or whatever they call it, pales in comparison to the North Star colors, which the Wild still have the rights to use if they want. So why don't you just cut the facade, Minnesota Wild, and admit the North Star colors are better? You'll sell more stuff. You'll make your fan base happier. Why don't we do this?
I don't know. Well, the Twins dragged out these City Connect. Let's just call them St. Paul City Connects and wear them all the time.
I guess, but apparently they're not going to do it, the Wild, unless they're trying to, do it on their terms and have a news conference. But anyways, I say go to the green and gold and the white.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. FedEx out those thank yous. One to Rocky, David Weld, Paul Langfellow, the Boxing Friends, Slink, and Q. For Wally, I'm Eric saying so long. This is 10K Takes, your sports ticket.